Now we want to create the styles for the progress bar. So the progress bar had the class of progress. So first, let's give it some width of like 100 pixels. And we want this to be circular, or in other words square, so we need to say the aspect ratio is 1 so that the width and height are the same value. We want this to be circle, so the border radius should be 50%, and like this. So let's give it some background as well. Let's go with background because we're going to change this. Let's say red. Now we have a red circle here. Okay, to create something like this cone that we have here, we can use a conic gradient to provide that value for us. So instead of saying this, we can go and say this is a conic gradient. We can provide different colors, so we can say like this up to 30 degrees, and then for example up to 100 degrees, and then 0. Now you can see it gets some kind of a gradient here, but we want only a simple color, so we can for now remove this one and do it like this. And now you can see that we get the sector that we want. Obviously, if we change this value to like, for example, 60 degrees, then it changes. Okay, great. So we have this, but this value should be changed by JavaScript. So for now, let's keep it like this, and then we will change it in JavaScript. And basically this value is kind of related to the data value that we provide here. Okay, but remember that this is a percent, so 30%, but this is a degree. Okay, now we need to have this overlayer on top, this one. In order to do that, I'm going to use the after. Now I could make this relative and this absolute, so that this goes on top of the progress, but there is another way, and that is using grid system here, and then place the content in the center. Now everything would go in the center. For starter, let's say here width is like 80 pixels. It was like 100 pixels here. The aspect ratio is also 1. And let's say the display here is also grid because I want to have content inside. Let's say the background is white. Again, the border radius should be 50%. And we need to place the content again on the center. And let's say the content for this, the thing that it wants to show is, for example, now is like maybe 30. Okay, these are arbitrary numbers, this 30, this 60 degrees, and this one. We're going to change all of this later on. Now this is only for presentation. Now we can see that we have the 30, but this is very small, so let's change that. First, the font family, let's call this Arial, much better now, and then font size, let's say 40 pixels. Now it's much better. So if I go and say here this is like 100, it should fit, which it does. Okay, so this is the font size that we have. Okay, this is done, but as you can see here we have different sizes, and we're going to control that by a size property on this progress bar. So let's define this size here. Let's say size is like 100 pixels, and then the width is the value of the size. Now this shouldn't change anything. As you can see, we get the same progress bar, but later on we can change the value of size and this should change. So let's see, where do we use the size here as well. So this one should be like 80% of the size. So let's say calc of times 0.8. Again, the same thing. Also, we can have the font size value here as well. So this can be like 0.4. Okay, still the same thing, but the thing is that if I change this to like 80, you can see everything shrinks. Or if I say this is like 200, everything gets bigger. Okay, we are ready now for going towards the JavaScript.